This is why I hold issue to terminology I'll see trainers throw around. Let's take one big word that I see thrown around a lot that I understand the meaning behind it, but I disagree with a little bit, and I think it's a problematic word. Rehabilitation, right?
Yeah.
We talk about behavioral rehabilitation, right? Everybody throws that around. Caesar even, in his shows used to talk about the dog needs to come to the center for rehab, right? This needs to go there. Rehab is such a funny word, right? Because if you look at it, right, what is rehabilitation, right? A lot of people, I think, and I don't even know what the freaking clinical definition of rehabilitation is by any means, right? But I think a lot of people look at rehabilitation as we're taking this problem and we're fixing it. You know what I mean? Like we're taking this problem and we're just eliminating it from the ethos anymore, right? We're making this not this anymore, right?
Yeah.
And that would imply that post-rehabilitation, the dog is good, right? The dog doesn't rehearse behavioral issues that they used to rehearse anymore. The dog doesn't act aggressively. The dog doesn't act on their urges like they used to, et cetera, which is true to an extent, right? Through the training and through the communication and stuff like that, we can get the dog to not act on those things, right? But it doesn't eliminate those things from the dog's mind as potentials or as things that they would otherwise rehearse while not being given that direction, right? It's like the same thing as like, and this is kind of like a dicey one, but like I feel like a lot of adults you see, like humans that go through rehabilitation for drug addiction, alcohol addiction, things like that. Look at how challenging it is for a lot of those people post-rehabilitation to maintain that degree of support because, again, right, they're in these environments where they're being given direction and support and guidance and stuff like that, and then when they go back into the real world and they don't have that support and that communication and that guidance and stuff, and all of those vices are still around of things that they used to do, they want to act on those things.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like humans go through rehabilitation and they're rehabbed.
It's good.
And they don't do that anymore. I mean, there's such a massive failure rate on them and people that relapse and stuff post those types of things, right? So if we look at rehabilitation from that lens and we look at it as we have the ability to stack some wins and we have the ability to let the dog be successful and teach them some new ways and some new skills of how to cope with these problems and then say, okay, we just gave the dog all of this direction. Now the dog can maintain that or can relapse back to their old problems if you don't continue to give that direction and guidance. That's a more healthy framework to look at it from. And I feel like instead it's too commonly looked at by the owner as the quick fix, and by the trainer it's advertised as this is the better program because we're going to be able to fix these problems better for you as a marketing tactic. You know what I mean? So what are they? Board and trains are about creating the communication to be able to work through problems, right? It's about establishing the skills that the dog as well as the owner is going to need in order to help guide the dog through making better choices once they're home, right? But it does not necessarily eradicate issues, right? The board and train does not, like a dog that used to jump. Let's take something as simple as jumping, right? If a dog jumped for you at home, a board and train alone without the guidance on your end is not going to make the dog stop jumping for you at home, right? And from a more major standpoint, if your dog is biting your guests, a board and train is definitely not going to make your dog stop biting guests when the dog goes home. What a board and train will do is create the necessary skills and communication to effectively coach the dog to not jump at home or coach the dog to not bite strangers at home.
Yeah.
Right? And that's one huge misconception that I see that is the single root behind what I would consider to be most clients' issues post-board and train that they may have with a trainer. If they say, oh, the training didn't work, or, oh, the dog came back and seemed like they didn't have any training or anything like that, it's because the variable is the owner. You know what I mean?